and welcome to the Movie Scoops podcast. I'm your host, Sean, and today we are here for episode 15 of the podcast. That is freaking amazing that we've gotten to 15 episodes. And we're nearly up to our 1 year special. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I might be doing something special for you guys. I don't know. You may be wondering, Sean, where were you last week? We thought you were going to go on do another episode. You're going to go for another hiatus again. The truth is, and I could sit here and make a joke and be like, oh, I was lazy, or I got eaten by a shark, or something really stupid to cover up the fact that there really wasn't any news last week. There wasn't anything at all. And you can, that I can give you to sink your teeth into, you just need, I come here almost every single week and try and give you podcasts that you can watch, you can listen to on the go, where you can hear about movie news, hear about reviews, and hear about that sort of stuff. And the fact is, last week there wasn't anything that I can sit here and make an episode on for like an hour or two, or even like 40 minutes at the most, where you guys can listen to it and I'll be happy with it. I want you guys to be, I want me to be happy with it, and I want you to be happy with it, and I want us to enjoy it. So now we're back again, finally, for another episode. I am excited. I'm so keen. We're going to be talking Snyder Cut news. We're going to be talking Marvel, WandaVision, iCarly, Deadpool, and after we go through that, just for you guys, and honestly, just for you guys, I put myself through 15 hours of pain to watch not the Fantastic Four, the basically the same thing, the Transformers Trilogy, and I have a review of them. I have really great ideas, much like the Transformers movies. I have really great ideas, and then when I get to do them, I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious me, this is the worst mistake of my life. But enough of that, let's get right into the news. Dane DeHaan, who famously played the Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, has said that he will not be returning for Spider-Man 3, and he wants people to stop messaging him or rumoring that he's going to be in it, because he doesn't want to be in it at all. Fair enough, mate. No one wants you back anyway. The director or writer of Pacific Rim, not sure, wants the Godzilla universe and the Pacific Rim universe to be combined, because they're sort of the same thing, but they're not in the same universe. I think that's a good idea. I think that Pacific Rim has some good movies, and obviously Godzilla and Kong will be a pretty big movie coming out March, 1 month from now. Exciting. Yeah, I'd be keen to see those guys ruffle up, but it has to end with the Pacific Rim boys getting destroyed. 100%. You can't tell me otherwise. Let's move on. Kristen Stewart is going to be playing Princess Diana in a bioflick, and they released a photo of her. Yeah, she definitely looks the part. She was definitely a weird choice to be put into that role, but whatever. I'm not a movie producer, so that's just life. I think that Kristen Stewart, pretty much every person apart from Taylor Lautner, who's kind of like given up on acting at this point, everyone from the Twilight universe acting are really good actors. Like, look at Robert Pattinson, are really good actors. They just haven't been able to get given the opportunity to do stuff. Like, if you watch some of Kristen Stewart's stuff that she did, not recently, because the most recent thing she did was Charlie's Angels, and that was hot trash. But yeah, she's a really good actor. She's an actress. She's a really good actress. She's really, really talented. And much like Robert Pattinson, they're both really talented, and their names have been tarnished by the Twilight series. So just leave them alone, let them do their thing. I think she'll do really well in this movie. Let's move on. Skull Island and Tomb Raider are getting their own anime series for Netflix. Now, Godzilla has its own anime series on Netflix, and it's okay. I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the world. I would say that it's okay at the most. It's I wouldn't watch it, honestly. I used to be a very much an anime watcher. We'll get more into anime a little bit later because there's one I'm going to talk about. Like when I was younger, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan, Beyblade, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. They were my favorite shows, and then I grew out of them. I think that if I really got into anime, I would really, really like it. But the fact is that I kind of grew out of anime as it started to blow up, basically. I did watch Attack on Titan. I really enjoyed it. But for me personally, and I'm not sure if it's just like something wrong with me, I don't like subtitled movies. Maybe it's because I don't speak the language, or I can't read that fast. I can read. I know what you're thinking. I can read. I'm not. For me personally, I have read books. I don't enjoy reading books. I normally just read books that were based off movies so that I can see their perspective. That's the only reason why I'd ever read books. But for those ones there, I don't like them. Like, I watched Parasite, and Parasite's a brilliant movie. It's brilliant. But the only reason why I didn't enjoy it was because it wasn't in English. And I know that's not a very good opinion, but that's just my thought. And I watched the first season of Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan's brilliant. And I loved the English, and I loved it. And then season 2 came out, and I started to watch it. It was in Japanese, and I was like, ew, no, I'm kind of gone. I don't really want to watch this anymore. And that was it for me. Let's move on. The Batman is on track to wrap in March. Exciting. As soon as this movie's finished we will finally be able to get it edited and finally be able to get a date for its release, which I am excited for. You know, we see set photos all the time. We're like, oh, come on, just give it to us. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me the movie right now. And they're not finished filming. And we're like, come on, mate, just give it to me. Give me the film. Give it to me right now. I need to watch the Batman. I need to watch Robert Pattinson be Batman. Fair enough, honestly. Let's move on. Black Widow will not be releasing to Disney Plus. As of right now. That's entirely up for debate, basically. So what Marvel's thinking at the moment is that they need to release a movie. WandaVision is extremely successful on Disney Plus. Like, extremely successful. And if they release it into cinemas, they're not sure if they're going to make enough money or not. Which is a good shout. They need to make money. And that's how they keep things afloat. So I reckon they will possibly release it to cinemas probably release it in cinemas. I don't see it going to Disney Plus anytime soon. Let's move on. iCarly revival is being made. I really hope Dan Schneider's... Oh my gosh, I really hope Dan Schneider's not on board for this. For those of you who don't know, I didn't know this until I watched a documentary about it on YouTube. But basically, this guy, Dan Schneider, who he... Oh, by the way, before I get into this, Movie Scoops Podcast shirt and hat. I bought it for myself, but let me know. Let me know if you want to buy some of these, buy some of the merch here. I just wore because I just wear normally black for these things, and I just wanted a shirt. Let me know. Put it in the comments below. Message me on Instagram at Movie Scoops Podcast on Instagram, or Sean882805 on Instagram. Message me there. But anyway, Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider, he wasn't as big of a problem as the Weinsteins when it came to using young women to get them jobs. He was like Quentin Tarantino. The only thing that they have in common, Quentin Tarantino and Dan Schneider, is that they have a foot fetish. And what Dan Schneider would do on his sets and everything was that he would write in some really disturbing scenes about people, like character's feet. If you watch Victorious and you watch iCarly, there are some very unneeded feet scenes in those things, and that's because Dan Schneider. And basically, what he would do, what someone did an interview with, was that she was told in the audition process that she needed to go in and take off her shoes. She wasn't meant to prepare a acting piece. She wasn't meant to prepare anything at all. Or her whole thing was that she needed to go into the room with Dan Schneider and this other guy and show them their feet. And he ended up getting fired from Nickelodeon once all this came out. But I really hope he's not going to be a person for these series, because he's the creator of iCarly, Victorious, the Amanda Show, Sam and Cat. He's the creator of those shows. He's the writer of those shows, and Zoe 101. And I don't see that. I don't see them bringing him back, but I really hope they don't bring him back. Let's move on. Michael B. Jordan is open to returning for Black Panther 2. Come on, guys. It's been a year since Chadwick Boseman has passed, and it's really sad. But with this universe, you need to move on. You need to move on. And the only person who can lead the Black Panther movies, I don't want to see Shuri. It's either M'Baku or Killmonger. Those two are the only two characters. And you brought people back from the dead. You brought them back from the dead and made them heroes. Like, come on. Bring back Michael B. Jordan, make him the protagonist, and that's all I want. That's all I want. Yeah. Major updates on projects. Sonic 2 is filming in March. Thor 4 has started filming. Monsters at Work is recording underway. The Flash... What the heck is that? Hello? That was weird. The Flash is on schedule to begin production on the 26th of April. And as said before, Batman will finish in March. Great. Let's keep going. Attack on Titan Season 4 slays the IMDb ratings. I told you we'd come back to the anime. So basically, the series has 7 episodes rated 9.9, while Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad have a total of 7. In the whole series of Attack on Titan, they have series that are 9.9. That's insane. Every episode in Season 4 of Attack on Titan is, apart from one, ranked 9. No, apart from 2. 1 is ranked 8.8, and the last episode's ranked number 10, but they're all in the 9 category. That's insane. James Gunn updates us on the Suicide Squad. He's working on it, working on a trailer. It will be worth the wait. Suicide Squad is not required viewing to understand the film, so that's good. That's good. And Peacemaker spin-off will not be what anyone expects. Exciting, amazing, romantic. Exciting. I'm excited for that. That's going to be awesome. I think that James Gunn is just a brilliant filmmaker. He's brilliant, especially in superhero movies. I mean, have you seen Super? Super is insane. It's his first superhero movie, and it's insane. Rainn Wilson is great in that movie. You haven't seen it? Go and see it. It's great. Roger Craig Smith, famous for being the voice of Sonic, has stepped down as the voice of Sonic after 10 years. Oh, good on him. Good on him, mate. I hope he has luck in his future endeavors, but that's good money that he's just throwing away. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. He might have gotten a better job, or he might have been caught in a scandal in which they had to fire him. But they put it as stepped down. Ryan Reynolds did an interview this week, and he talked about what the idea for Deadpool 3 was meant to be. And this is what he said. The film was going to be a road trip movie with Deadpool and Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. And he wasn't joking. That's insane. That's an insane idea, and that would have been an insanely funny movie. I don't see it as a good movie, or it might be, but I don't see it as a good superhero movie. I see it as more of a comedy. That would have been funny, but they're not going to do it now. Snyder Cut has a release date, March 16th, which is a little over a month from now. That's exciting. They released a whole bunch of posters, more on Snyder Cut a little bit later. I'm going in like order of like news, but that's exciting. I'm excited to see the Snyder Cut. It's 1 month away. Like, oh my goodness gracious me, it's gonna be exciting. Michelle Pfeiffer is down to return as Catwoman alongside Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. Bring her back, Warner Brothers. Bring her back. Cloverfield sequel in the works. Yeah. So pretty much there have been 3 Cloverfield movies. There has been Cloverfield 1, which is a found footage movie made by James Gunn. 10 Cloverfield Lane, which the only connection between the first movie is in name only, and the fact that it's a post-apocalyptic world. And there's a third movie which only connection to those other movies is The Monster. So they're actually making a direct sequel to Cloverfield. That's exciting. I liked Cloverfield. I felt Cloverfield was a good movie. I felt like it was very interesting, very different from all the other found footage movies, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it. The Boys cast are arriving in Toronto to film season 3. Oh my! I've said so many times on this podcast how good The Boys is. The Boys is possibly the best superhero TV show. WandaVision is still going, so WandaVision could honestly take that. But yeah, it's insane. So the Snyder Cut has officially finished. So that's exciting. But Marvel are thinking of creating a Wakanda series for Disney Plus. I don't think it's gonna be like with the Shuri and anything. I think it's just gonna be like the average day life of Wakandians. Would that be what you call them? The Wakandians? The Wackers? I don't know. But another TV show that Marvel are thinking of making is with Jimmy Woo, the character who is in, more recently, WandaVision, but was in not Captain America, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Can I just say real quick, if you haven't seen WandaVision, go and watch it. But he has, I've seen this all over the internet, and I think I agree with it, has possibly the best arc in any single continuity in Marvel ever. And the arc is where Jimmy Woo talks to Scott Lang, and Scott Lang does a magic trick in front of him. And he asks him, "Hey, Scott Lang, how did you do that?" Scott Lang, thinking that he's talking about the Ant-Man suit, he says, "I don't know." He goes, "The magic trick." At the start of WandaVision, he does the same magic trick. Greatest arc ever. 100%. Let's move on. Oh, Jimmy Woo. I let it up and didn't tell you about it. So Jimmy Woo is they're planning to create a X-Files-esque TV show with him. That's exciting. Can't wait for that. Obi-Wan Kenobi series will start filming in late spring, which if you're from Australia, that's late autumn. So that will be May. It will be May. That is exciting. Yeah, so they released pictures for the Snyder Cut, pretty much just the nightmare sequences. They've released a photo of Jared Leto's Joker. He has long hair, Joker makeup, and they released a photo of Joe Mangalua, I don't know how to pronounce his name, as Deathstroke, and he has a mohawk, I guess. Awesome, looks great. They also released a video sequence of Steppenwolf beating up the Amazonians. Updated CGI, looks good, and they're gonna release a black and white version of it, which is great. Also, the Snyder Cut's gonna be R-rated. That's Batman's gonna be saying the F word, boys. You know how like the internet went like crazy in Titans, where Robin goes, "Batman." He says F Batman, and everyone was like, oh, this is an edgier Robin. Oh my gosh, he's edgy. He's swearing. He says F Batman. He doesn't like Batman anymore. Imagine what the world's gonna see when they see Ben Affleck Batman being like, I'm excited for that. War Machine will appear in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and will possibly appear in WandaVision. Oh, Don Cheadle's got a lot of room on his plate, but a little more news about Armor Wars, which is his series. Tony Stark's death will be an important part of Armor Wars. That's exciting. I'm excited to see what they do with that. But a recent interview that Kevin Feige did the other day was that he doesn't see any reason why the MCU and Star Wars can't cross over. You don't see any reason? Okay, I've got a few words for you, Kevin Feige. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. I don't see how that's going to work there, buddy. The Star Wars universe is based years and years and years ago. Even though it has better technology than we do now, and even better technology than the MCU people have, I don't... if they ever cross over Star Wars and Marvel, I will get a tattoo. I am being honest. If they ever cross over Marvel and Star Wars in any... Like, they can't. They mentioned Empire Strikes Back in Civil War. Like, are you kidding me? That's a continuity error. Gosh. Resident Evil Origin movie is slated for the September 3rd, 2021, with a few lots of actors in it. They didn't put names underneath the list here, so I know their faces, I just don't know their names. Yeah, so exciting. Christopher Plummer passed away. He played the dad in Knives Out, the one who was the the one who got murdered. Yeah, he was also in Sound of Music. He was great in that, and it's really sad to see him go. Guardians Galaxy 3 will be using the same hyper-realistic VFX tech as The Mandalorian. I think that's just possibly the only way that they can film those movies now, is with The Mandalorian VFX style, because like there's no other way, especially during COVID. Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to film that. Watchmen writer to pen MCU's Blade. So the person who wrote the Watchmen TV series is going to be writing Blade. Awesome. Can't wait. Tom Holland has major hype for Spider-Man 3. He calls it the most ambitious solo superhero movie. He went on to downplay Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's casting. Come on, mate. We know. And the Super Bowl was this week, and they released another trailer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know if it looks good or not. I don't know about you, but I felt it looked really tacky. I felt like it looked... It doesn't look very good. But what did look good was Superman and Lois. Like, what? I watched the Superman... Like, I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch Superman and Lois. I'm not going to watch it. It doesn't look very good. But when I watched the two trailers... Watch the two trailers. After this, watch the two trailers that they released. It doesn't even look like a CW TV show. It looks good. How does it look good? How does it not look like a really out-of-date sitcom? Like, what? How does it not look like that? It looks like a cinematic movie, just with different actors playing Lois Lane and Superman, but it actually looks good. How? How did they do it, CW? See, I think it's just CW getting the head out of their asses. Honestly, I think they just got their head out of there, and they were like, maybe we shouldn't just make 20 series with 20 episodes where half the episodes go absolutely nowhere and half of them are just really terrible. Maybe. But they still make The Flash, and The Flash is terrible. Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons movie will be starring Chris Pine, Justice Smith, and Michelle Rodriguez. Why are they making a Dungeons and Dragons movie, honestly? Why are they making a Dungeons and Dragons movie? Let's move on. Thor 4, Love and Thunder, will have the beefiest Thor yet, says Chris Hemsworth. Jamie Lee Curtis joins Borderlands film. Jamie Lee Curtis is like nearly 80 years old. She's been in 2 really good films recently, and that's Halloween and Knives Out. What is she playing in the Borderlands movie? Like, honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Apparently, James Gunn cried while writing Suicide Squad. He cried, apparently. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that this morning. I read that this morning, and I was like, wow, jeez. Someone's a bit sad about their movie. About that. And there's the news, guys. But now we're getting into... I need to, fix my seating, because this is going to be an intense ride. The Transformers Trilogy. My thoughts on the Transformers film trilogy, one at a time. And let's get right into this. I just want everyone to know that I have a lot of regrets in my life. None more so than this. This is my biggest regret. This is my biggest regret of watching the Transformers films. Like, if you see my phone, I've gone through and I've put literally, I'm still scrolling. This is how many notes I have for these movies, because there's so many problems with these movies. I'm still scrolling. Now I'm at the bottom. What the heck? Alright, let's get into this. So, it came out in 2007, so 13 years ago. 13 years ago. I started primary school in 2007. What the heck? I loved Transformers as a child, and I remembered it fondly. And one of my favorite characters in the Transformers thing, because I watched the animated series before I was allowed to watch the live action series, and my favorite character was Optimus Prime, and because he was strong and he was brave and he was also compassionate and caring, and most importantly, he was a bright red 1970s curve over white freightliner. That was a mouthful. And because the true mark of a hero is making your design iconic, and Optimus Prime really made this iconic. And upon rewatching this series, I was sitting there, and I was always under the impression, because I watched these movies very young, and I always had the impression that the trucks were pretty much similar or a little bit different, but not too much. And I sat there, and when Optimus Prime came into frame, and I've written this down so I don't forget, I said, oh my god, a Peterbilt 379, are you kidding me? I was so angry. I was like, why did you do this? I have more about this later. I literally went through facts on the internet. I literally wrote up, why is the truck different? Why is Optimus Prime different? Why? I was so angry. And I feel like, and I know this in my heart, that if the truck was the same as the cartoons, I would forgive all of the nonsense that goes on in these movies. I would forgive all of the screaming lunatics and the fact that all of the Decepticons look the same. I would forgive the fact that you can't tell what's going on in any action sequences because it's all happening at the same time. That's what I've written there while watching this movie. And, you know, there's nods in other movies to the fact that to Optimus Prime's truck form, like that other form, there's nods to it. But he just looks like a Monster Energy drink in this movie. Like, are you kidding me? And I think for me, one of the worst parts, because I did a lot of research. I watched all the trailers before watching this, just so I could get an idea. I have watched these movies before, but I wanted to get myself an idea of what the marketing was like back in 2007. And I watched the teaser trailer for this movie. and it was on Mars. It had the Mars rover. It was going on the planet, and it gets knocked over, and you see a shadow of Megatron, Generation 1 Megatron's shadow, which is famous for being Megatron that turns himself into a handgun. And now and then when they released the movie, he looked more like a skeleton than Megatron. He looked more like a Terminator from the later Terminator movies, or even just Terminator 1 more than Megatron. Like, are you kidding me? But apart from that, this is the only good Transformers movie. Transformers 1, 2007. It's the only one that's bearable to watch. Possibly because it's the shortest one of them all. Apart from Bumblebee. It's the shortest one of them all, and it's possibly the easiest to watch because it's not as overly insane as the rest of them. Like, I watched this, and I was like, I really like these parts. I really like this, but I can really see the seeds in this in this movie of all the bad stuff that just get blown up in later films. But nothing can be taken away from the special effects. These special effects for 2007 standards are out of this world. It's a technical marvel, and it's a technical marvel, and it's just insane. But in saying that, these movies are exhausting. It's exhausting to watch because all of the Decepticons are all just grey messes. All the Autobots are literally just there for name value apart from Optimus and Bumblebee. But the sound design is out of this world. It's crazy. Like, when they use the original 80s cartoon noises in there, it really, really works. Apart from the fact that they overuse it like crazy, like they use it every like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it's so annoying. But the intro sequence in this movie is so good. I forgot about it. It was so good using the original sounds. But if only the rest of the movie was that good. Like, but I really, really, things that I really enjoyed in this movie, I really liked how the Decepticons have holographic drivers. I really enjoyed that. I felt like that gave another aspect to the characters rather than they're just being like just a steering wheel just turning and no one's in there. I really like that. I really like that they're trying to blend in. But this whole movie is human characters in this. Like, let's get into the human characters because they're the majority of this movie. So we have Shia LaBeouf, who this is what I've written here. Shia LaBeouf, a teenage boy, and all he wants is a car, a girlfriend, but he's the sidekick in this movie. He's the sidekick to the real hero, who is Megan Fox's Michaela Baines. The reason why I say this is because Shia LaBeouf is obviously the main character in this movie, but he's so bad. No, not acting wise, but his character is so bad. Like, he can't do anything right. Like, this is what I've written. Michaela Baines it's baffling to me that she's not the main character. She's capable and skilled. She has a character arc and a backstory that has something, because she has a dad in prison, and that's how she learned all of her skills. She's fitter than Sam. Like, she can outrun him, and she should have been the main character the whole time, not a flailing idiot. But the fact is, it set the seeds in all these movies, because all these movies have three main characters: a stoic military man played by Josh Duhamel, a stuttering idiot, and then there's chicks. Michael Bay, and some part of me thinks that Michael Bay wanted the main character to be the chicks in these movies, but he sat there and was like, well, this movie's about cars and it's about transforming, and that's not very manly enough for the main character of chicks, so they kind of just pushed her aside, but still keeping her as the main character, just pushing her aside a little bit. And she does leave later in the series, but we'll talk more about that later. Megan Fox leaves. As I said before, this movie just feels long. It may be the short, like I said, it was an easy watch. It was the easiest watch out of all of them, but it feels so long. All of these movies just feel so long, and it's the shortest one apart from Bumblebee. And there's one scene that I really, really like, and we'll go through the different sections in the movie, but there's one scene that I really liked, and it's where Tad Hamilton, played by Josh Duhamel, and his crew are being chased in the desert by a Decepticon. That is a great film in itself, and it feels like a Predator esque movie, and it's a really, really good sequence and really awesome. I really loved it, but I don't feel like it has any weight in this movie at all, apart from the fact to introduce that Decepticons are a threat. That is the only reason why I feel like it's in the movie. And then you got Shia LaBeouf stuffing around, looking for his glasses while John Turturro is looking for him. And then you have the hacker stuff, which honestly doesn't need to be in this movie at all. Just take out that whole section there, throw it out the window. You don't need it, or you literally could just have the FBI or something, or whatever company John Turturro works for, like break into the house of a hacker and find out that the Decepticon's there. Like, you don't need this whole hacker storyline. And they just have, like, in the hacker storyline, they have, like, them looking for signals and planes flying. Like, take it out, honestly. Like, it's not needed in this movie. But another thing that I've written here is Bumblebee in the cartoons is a Volkswagen, and in this he's a Camaro. And Michael Bay did many interviews where he's like, he's not gonna be a bug. Stop berating me. He's not gonna be a bug ever. Just leave me alone. He ended up being a bug in Bumblebee, but he's like, I don't want it to be a bug. But the real reason why he wasn't a bug was because General Motors, the famous company General Motors, gave Michael Bay 200 free cars, and he used those for practical effects, mostly just to explode them. But that's why Bumblebee was like that. And apparently, the reason why Optimus Prime wasn't the truck from the cartoons was because they wanted Optimus Prime to be an opposing figure, and making the biggest one of all the Autobots. And the reason why they couldn't use the car was because if they used the car, the robot would be much smaller than the other Autobots. And Michael Bay said that they were not going to do that. They weren't going to do any size changing in this movie at all. They weren't going to make him be this truck, and then when he goes out of it, he's bigger than what he should be. But I have statistics here that says if Optimus Prime was the same as the cartoons, like same car as the cartoons, he would be 20 feet tall. When he's the Peterbilt 379, he is 22 feet tall. Such a big difference, Michael Bay. 2 feet. That's that. Are you kidding me, mate? You're kidding me. You're stupid. He's not stupid. He's a great filmmaker, but in that sequence, he was pretty stupid. But I have written here that he said they weren't going to do any size changing. But their main plot device is a size-changing cube that size changes from what is the size of a house to a football, like a football size, because it's America, and America needs to have football so they can run with it like this. Like, you're kidding me. And like, if he was too small, like if Optimus Prime was too small with him being that truck. Just use the trailer, which isn't in this movie either. The trailer's not in this movie. I'm not going to give up on this. They should have just made him the truck. Like, he looks like a Monster Energy drink. He looks like an idiot. He is an idiot. But the Optimus Prime character has 10,108 moving parts. That's insane. That's insane. And it's a technical marvel. Like, that's a crazy amount of CGI. But this is what I've written here. Oftentimes in the movie, the Decepticons, because they're all grey, they all look the same. And the fact that in this movie, the Decepticons and Autobots can change to different vehicles, oftentimes when a Decepticon gets killed, you're confused on which Decepticon gets killed. So, you're watching the movie, person's a dump truck, he gets killed, but someone else turns into a dump truck, and you're like, what? And it's definitely different from the cartoons, because once you're chosen a vehicle, you're stuck in it. You're stuck with that for the rest of the time. You're stuck with it, and yeah, it's just really confusing. I like how they can change cars, but I don't like that. Peter Cullen, who is the voice of Optimus Prime in this movie, and they didn't want to bring back the original voice for Megatron. They do later on, but they brought on Hugo Weaving. And who I felt did a really good job. But the original casting that they were going to choose for Optimus Prime was Liam Neeson. And I heard a joke about this where he was like, I have a particular set of skills. I can turn into a truck. And I can say weird lines all the time. Like, oh my gosh. But props to Michael Bay, because most of the stunts and most of the practical effects, or most of the effects are all practical. Like they destroyed a bus on the highway, and like the visual effects are just insane in this movie. But the practical effects are just insane. Like they're throwing cars all over the place, they're blowing up like planes and everything. Like it's insane. And I have a lot of paragraphs of stuff that I've written, so let me just read this. Okay, I think a lot of parts in this movie, it's just that it's dead space, and it's mostly with the fact that there are just hijinks and gags that they use in this movie, such as the scene where Shia LaBeouf is trying to get into his house to find the glasses, and his granddad's glasses. He gets berated by his parents for being 3 minutes late, which, why? Why do you berate him for being 3 minutes late? That's neither here nor there, but we're just going to move on. But the Autobots are literally playing hide and seek with their parents outside in robot form. Think for a second that the Autobots have an ability they have the most amazing disguise ability ever, where they can turn into the averagely normal cars that no one would blink an eye at. Like, no one would just be like, that's out of place, that shouldn't be there. People would be like, okay, that's fair enough. But they decide to stay in robot form the entire time. Like, are you kidding me? Like, all you needed to do was turn into a car and just park and wait. That's all you need to do. Like, you've already threatened Shia LaBeouf, like, you're gonna kill him. Just, like, if he goes inside and, like, does something different, blow up the house. Honestly. That's a bit dark, but yeah, honestly. So stupid. There's, like, a dog peeing on them at one point. There's, like, oh, it's terrible. And there's one funny joke in these movies, and it's in the next movie, so we'll get back to that in a second. But the whole movie is just, the whole rest of these movies is just a stuttering idiot. It's Shia LaBeouf for the first three, then it's Mark Wahlberg for the rest. Like, are you kidding me? And the problem with Bumblebee in this movie is that he talks through the radio. It's very much a problem throughout the film, because through this movie, because you can't understand him. And in other movies they use they use movie quotes in there, but the end of this movie, and I'll never forgive this, the end of this movie, they fix his voice to then take it away from him in the next movie. Like, what? How? That's stupid. You give him back his voice where he says, I wish to stay with the boy, and then next movie, oh, Bumblebee, your voice is gone again. Oh, like, why? Sells more toys? I don't know. It's stupid. And I do find the end of this movie to be really, really weird. Really, really, really weird. So the end of this movie is with Shia LaBeouf's character, Sam, and Megan Fox's character, Michaela Baines, on top of Bumblebee making out. Normal 2000 end of a 2007 movie, normal. But the thing is that Bumblebee isn't a horse. If you make out on a horse, the horse doesn't know what's going on. Bumblebee knows what's going on. So you're just making out on a sentient being that knows what's going on. That's a bit weird, mate. It's a bit weird, honestly. Honestly, it's a bit weird. But here's some trivia for this movie that I found out. So, Trent DeMarco. You don't know who Trent DeMarco is? Well, he's the boyfriend of Michaela in this movie for a few scenes that he's in it. But Trent DeMarco, on his Wikipedia page, I found this on IMDb trivia. He this is what is written on his Wikipedia page. Trent DeMarco is a stereotypical guy in high school. He's on the football team, brackets, tight end, has muscles and washboard abs and a sweet ride and a smoking hot girlfriend and hates nerds. Fair enough. But after the events of the Transformers movie where Michaela leaves him for Shia LaBeouf, he goes to Crystal Lake. Is that right? Crystal Lake? Yeah, Crystal Lake. And he is in the Friday the 13th movie where he gets murdered. Meaning, the Transformers movie and the Friday the 13th movie are in the same universe. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But let's move on to Transformers 2, which I went into this thinking that it was going to be the worst movie out of them all. It is not. It's not the worst movie out of them all. It is not even close to being the worst movie, but when I went into, it's definitely not a good sequel. If I'm being honest, it's not a good sequel, but it's not the worst, and that's really saying something. This movie was really heavily affected by the writer's strike, and if you don't know what the writer's strike is that where a whole bunch of writers in Hollywood went on strike so that they'd be getting paid more. But basically, what happened was that the writer's strike was like, they wrote the entire movie in 3 weeks. That's insane. They wrote this entire movie in 3 weeks. But it got to the point where in this movie, it's like, oh, Michaela Bain, she kidnaps she holds a little Decepticon hostage and takes him through airport security. How does that happen? Oh, the writer's strike. That's how she got through security. Like, that doesn't make much sense at all. And this is what I've written. In later movies, Michael Bay created a writer's room of people with many people wanting to establish a universe, and they can't just reuse things over and over and over again. Where is it? Oh, jeez. I must have been really, really, really tired when I wrote this down. So basically, what I've written there, I'm gonna use it in my own words because I read through and I was like, oh, okay. So basically, Michael Bay famously made a writer's room for the Transformers movies, and basically, when the writer's strike hit, they kind of just like went, oh, where are we gonna put the main villain's weapon? Oh, I don't know. And the Jordanians were like, why don't you put it in Egypt? And they were like, oh, we'll put it in Egypt. Where are we gonna put it in Egypt? Where's something that we can use from Egypt? Oh, why don't you put it in the pyramids? You know, those famously unexplored places in history. Oh, yes, we'll put it in the pyramids. Like, are you kidding me? Every nook and cranny of those pyramids have been looked into. Like, you can't tell me that no one in history has gone, inside is Tutankhamun's tomb, and up the very top is an alien-looking like laser that is facing towards the sun, and looks like it would drain the energy of sun. Like, you can't tell me that that's not what would happen if someone saw that. Like, you can't. I mean, unless there's always been like a mini Decepticon in that pyramid, and he's just like, as soon as someone sees that, kill. So stupid. And all of these movies, I've noticed, they all have an artifact, and they're all like supposed to be like these world savers, or they end the world somehow, and they're like, it's insane. Like, the first movie was the Allspark, and the Allspark's like, this is the this is the heart of the planet, we know that. And then it gets destroyed. Second movie is The Matrix, where the Matrix is a power source that can drain the sun, but also it can revive Autobots, okay? Third movie is A Space Bridge. Then there's The Seed, then there's some sort of staff, like... You could just tell that they're running out of ideas. They're just running out of ideas, and they just keep going. They're like, like, I'm dead after reading that. Like, and, the villain, this is what I've written, and the villain's weapon is in the pyramid. You know that, there is a very famous... Oh, I've already said that. Can I just say also, Rainn Wilson is in this movie. Rainn Wilson from The Office. And he plays a teacher. It's the first day of Astronomy 101, and he already has young girls going for him. Teach me your ways, Rainn Wilson. Teach me your ways. The movie sometimes has these movies sometimes have really great ideas, but with terrible execution. Like, the Transformers being on Earth millions of years ago was a great idea. But then they have really, really terrible ideas, like using a laser that was in the pyramid. Like, that's so stupid. And they tried to introduce the first ever female Transformer named RC. And basically, she was meant to be in the first movie, but they didn't know how to explain gender with Transformers. Are you kidding me? You don't need to explain it. They're transforming robots, for goodness sakes. They're transforming robots. Like, you literally don't need to explain. You don't be like, oh, that one's a girl. You just need to be like, you're Transformers, mate. Why do some of you have accents and the other one doesn't? Because it doesn't make sense. You don't need to explain it. Oh, my goodness. And then, like, you can't do it. Like, some of them are racial stereotypes. My phone auto-corrected to racial stereotypes. Racial stereotypes. I've written here, Soundwave, not good. Yeah, Soundwave's in this movie, and he's a satellite for some reason. Also wrote, Jetfire scene goes for a really long time. That's the scene where Jetfire, who is a Decepticon, is finally waking up after a while, and he's going crazy. He's waking up and goes... Okay, and this is what I've written here. So, Optimus Prime is dead. Megatron kills Optimus Prime. You may be wondering, didn't Megatron die in the first one? You'd be correct. So basically, what had happened was, they revived Megatron with a little piece of the Allspark. What they did was, 5 Decepticons went to the bottom of the ocean where Megatron was, where they threw Megatron's body. They went to the bottom of the ocean and they sacrificed one of the Decepticons to revive Megatron, leaving 4 Decepticons. They revived Megatron, making there be 5 Decepticons, but 6 of them get away. That's called a continuity. Oh, I just knocked out my headphones with that. Yeah, that's called a continuity error, people, and that's not a good thing. When you do continuity errors like that, it's not noticeable, but it's noticeable for people who like have a keen eye for it. I've just written here, Optimus Prime dies. Hang on, Sam. Yep. But the problem with these movies that I've noticed now, after rewatching them, is that Optimus Prime is hardly ever in these movies. He's in them for like a few minutes and then leaves for some reason, then comes back at the end. Like, are you kidding me? So stupid. I've also written here, Bumblebee is a big sulky baby in these movies. Yep. He's not a character at all. Pretty much, he's just a baby. I also have racist twins, which are the worst characters in these movies, but they set up things in every single one of these movies at the end, which is roughhousing. Every single one of these movies have Transformers roughhousing each other. I've also written here Hump Droid. lots of humping. There's a lot of humping in these movies. There's a little Decepticon robot that humps Megan Fox. Not kidding, dogs humping. The bulk of this movie is human characters where it is Sam and Michaela saying how much they love each other without saying they love each other. There is also Sam's best friend, which is a mini John Turturro. And he's a mini John Turturro. Then John Turturro comes in. And you're like, yes, this is what I want to see. And then that's the only good part about this movie. Jeez, I wish Sam's parents were dead. That's a bit dark, but I really do wish his parents were dead. They're just awful, honestly. They're not characters at this point. They're just they're plot devices used to let Sam know the things that he's been doing. And they're just terrible. This movie set the record for biggest explosion in movie history of all time, which is now being surpassed by James Bond. It had 40. I'm just gonna turn my computer back on. 47 product placements. I also have written here, Jordanians saved us. Oh, they're gone. There was like this long sequence in the movie where the Jordanians came in and everyone was like, it's the Jordanians, they've saved us, yes! And then they get exploded and then they're gone. And then I've written here, Jordanian royal family loved the Transformers movie that they gave Michael Bay access to their Air Force. Rightio. I've also have here, Devastator is a mess. Is he a gorilla or an anteater? Or is he just a setup for a scrotum joke? Yep. That's exactly what he is. It's a technical marvel though. Like, it's just insane. But I've also written here, the final scene sequence. The final scene is loud like everything. Like everything is just loud. Jeez, I must have been like dead. John Turturro is trying to send coordinates to the Navy so they can use their new railgun to destroy the Fallen. But the thing is, the Navy can see the pyramids, so what is the point in the sequence? To have John Turturro point out Devastator's ballsack. I wrote here, Autobot heaven is weird. Why is Sam Jesus? Yep. The Fallen is a walking cucumber. President Guy being killed sort of was good in classic 80s style. I'm referring to the guy who was like, I have your seat and I have got this letter from the president that lets me do whatever I want. And then they like put a parachute on him and he gets flown out the plane. Yeah. And if you're wondering what was the best joke in this entire series, and it's where Shia LaBeouf goes to a party, Bumblebee shows up, and he goes out to the car, and the people are like, hey, who owns this car? We need to kill the guy who owns this car. And he goes, oh, the owner of the car just stepped out to go buy you a tighter shirt. And he goes, the guy goes, there isn't a tighter shirt. We checked. And then they fist bumped. That is the only joke that lands in this whole movie, and it's pretty funny. I couldn't make it funny just then, but just watch it. It's pretty funny. I wrote here, also, after Optimus Prime dies, he gets thrown down on an airplane lane like a big sack of potatoes, and there is a whole sweeping score, whole sweeping shots, and they just throw him down like he meant nothing, and they just throw him down like bang. Like there's a whole sweeping score, slow-mo shots, you just drop him down like he meant nothing. Also wrote, Optimus is awful. He point blank executes someone and gets progressively worse in these movies. We'll get to that a little bit later. Also, Jetfire sacrifices himself for Optimus. Optimus does not say thank you, and says, let's roll instead. Before killing the Fallen, and I had to rewind this multiple times, turn on subtitles just to make sure this is what he said. Optimus Prime says to the Fallen, give me your face. Give me your face. I feel bad for Peter Cullen. He shrugs off Jetfire's stuff that he gave him like it meant nothing to him. Overall, it is not as bad as I remember. let's move on to Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon. Megan Fox is gone. This is what I've written. I googled it, and Chorus gave me an answer. It says, Sam was dating Carly Spencer by the time the third movie started. Sam says to her that she was someone who appreciated him for who he was. This leads us to conclude that Michaela did not appreciate him for who he was. Basically, Michaela did not appreciate Sam, so she broke up with him. I'm just going to let it pause on my face for a little bit longer. Just, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. And also, the parents mentioned Michaela was mean. Was she, though? Not really. But if you look at Carly, she's the same character, because they changed her out literally down to the wire, like literally 2 weeks before they were started filming. They swapped her out for Rose Huntington Wrightley, which I've written here. We are introduced to Carly Spencer. Carly Spencer's butt. It's a gratuitous butt shot, much like John Turturro's in the last movie, which I didn't mention because I didn't want to. The problem isn't Rose Huntington Wrightley. It's she is a terrific actor in this movie. She does very well. She's just not given anything to do in these movies, and she basically just has the same job that Michaela would have had in this movie, working for a car guy. Literally the same. I've also written here, such a long movie. I'm dead after watching this. Alright. The behind the scenes of this said that they realized that the last movie wasn't the best, and so they tried to make this movie a less wacky and more earnest, which you can see. But I've also written here, I wish Sam's parents were dead. Job hunt, stupid. The job hunt sequence is very stupid, but I've also written here reasons why I think Sam doesn't have a job and why people don't like him. I've written here, he's a very aggro guy, has everything people would ever want, but doesn't acknowledge it. Sam is a loser with a hero metal. He is a mess and a nightmare. And the reason why he's probably not working for the government is because they realize that he's a nightmare and a terrible person to work with. He tells his girlfriend to sell your car so you can buy a house. Excuse me, you have a $5,000 fridge. You live in a antique apartment in the city of Chicago. Your girlfriend has an amazing car, an amazing job. You're not working, but it's just so stupid. And I've wrote here, story. I don't know. The opening sequence is good. It is really good in this movie. Possibly because there's no live action stuff to like overcrowd the situation. The only thing is that the only bad thing about this sequence is that it's all grey. It's all grey, and that's the only thing. It's just kind of upsetting that all Cybertron is just a grey planet with grey people. Terrible. I've also written here, awful JFK CGI. Eyes were vibrating. Why? And I've written here, why didn't they just do what they did with Obama and President Nixon? They used body doubles. Yeah, why didn't they do that? I also wrote, Autobots' names don't matter. Autobots' names don't matter. So, they were going to get Sean Connery for this role, and you could really tell for Sentinel Prime they were going to get Sean Connery, but he turned it down because he had retired from that point, and so they got Leonard Nimoy. But you can really tell that Sentinel Prime looks like Sean Connery, has those mannerisms. I've also written here, worse than the last movie. I'm still dead inside. I've also written here, Ken Jeong, Andy Daly, John Malkovich. Also, Alan Tudyk is in this movie, and he went to Juilliard. I've also written here, fun fact, Alan Tudyk was in a movie called 28 Days, and he decided halfway through filming this movie that those characters were the same. Were the same characters. He gave himself a character profile where after the events of 28 Days, he went to the military. He became an assassin and everything, and then realized he went too far and came back to become a security guard. So there's a certain line in this movie where he goes, "Oh, that was the old me." He's referring to himself from 28 Days. Meaning, the 28 Days averse and the Friday the 13th averse is in the Transformers averse. I've also written here, Office knockoff for some reason. Like, why? Why do they need to do an Office? Why was there's a freaking photocopier gag? Like, are you kidding me? So stupid. I've written here, Patrick Dempsey is a villain for some reason. His plan was to get Sam a job in the same place where someone else who knows Decepticon's plans are, so that he could tell him. So he messed up. He messed up and basically get Sam to fix all of his problems that he made by giving Sam a job in that place. I've written here, Patrick Dempsey ran into Michael Bay and he hired him straight away and told him to come to set the next day to play this character. I've also written here, Laserbeak is an insane turkey and has a really good murder spree where he is a chameleon and turns into a TV. He kills Ken Jeong, turns into a pink version of Bumblebee for some reason. I've written here, I like Mad Max Megatron, but why is he in this movie? Yeah, that's probably fair enough. I've also wrote here, Sam kills Starscream with a grappling hook. I don't know how, but Starscream is a moron. Sam and Dylan have a really great fight scene, with Sam culminating in Sam killing Dylan. Really good. Optimus Prime has a trailer. Good, I guess, but it's a continuity error, because everyone else in the other movies had their weapons inside them. Sword, gun, right here. But now everyone needs to actually pick up a sword and pick up a gun. Like, continuity error, people. Continuity. I wrote here, and I timed this. Optimus Prime flies into cables at the 2-hour mark. 8 minutes later, he is still in the cables. 7 minutes later, he shows up again. That means he was in cables for 15 minutes. What a moron. He point blank executes Megatron and Sentinel. I've written here, he's a lunatic. The big worm destroying the tower was a thought of Michael Bay's while doing stomach crunch exercises. These are just fun facts for you people. Military guys leap out of the plane and they make a point to show that one of their crew members is trapped and won't be able to get out of the plane, so he goes down and dies. Buzz Aldrin is in this movie. Why? Yeah. And you may be wondering, why did Megan Fox not come back for this movie? She got fired by Michael Bay after calling him a Nazi and Napoleon, and Steven Spielberg pulled the trigger. So basically, she did an interview where she referred to Michael Bay as a Nazi and as a Napoleon-esque figure. And Steven Spielberg, who is, fun fact, a producer on these movies, pretty much told Michael Bay, fire her straight away, and they fired her. I'm kind of just like running through these. Like, that wasn't a startup, I'm just running through these because these movies took a lot of energy out of me. Let's move on to Transformers 4. It is the weirdest one yet. Everyone is less likable. The main character seems normal at first. He has biceps and is very American and finds a football in places where there would never be a football. Twice, actually. His name is Cade Yeager, played by Mark Wahlberg. He is terrible for his lack of awareness. I have a list here of reasons why he is a terrible person and a terrible character. Terrible for lack of awareness. Doesn't play his employees. Takes money from his employees, but says that they're lucky they have a job. Steals electricity from neighbors. 6 months behind on rent. Threatens realtors who are trying to sell his property, which he doesn't own. Throws a baseball bat at their car. He has never invented anything that isn't a slight iteration on something that already exists. The slight the slight variation being it doesn't work. The painting robot is cool. It just paints up and down, but it already exists. The dog, the remote control, the remote dog, the robot dog, whatever you want to call it, is just a remote control dog on a remote control car. They tried to make him like Tony Stark, but it's terrible. He also makes his employees sign a contract that whatever they invent, he owns. He's overprotective of his daughter, but fires a missile in her house while she's in there. Doesn't tell his employee who is taking a missile out to the trash that it's a live missile, and doesn't take $100,000 to give up Optimus Prime because he wants to know how it works. This is a direct quote. Could be a game changer. First of all, you are not smart enough to be able to recreate something even as close as that technology. Even if you knew half the amount of technical aspects to be able to create something even close to an Autobot, you still wouldn't be able to do that, Mark Wahlberg. You still wouldn't be able to do that, Cade Yeager. You are stupid. You are terrible. You're a terrible character, and I'm just really angry at this movie. Okay, wants to take his daughter to a prom. Very American. She wears very short shorts for some reason. Which is very weird, and it lingers on her butt for very long, which is very weird because she's playing an underage character in this movie. We'll get to that. Michael Bay wasn't originally going to come back for this film. Until he went to Universal Studios ride in LA and saw that the ride had a line that was 3 blocks long and realized he wasn't finished with the franchise yet. He wasn't going to give up on it. I wish he did though. This movie makes an attempt to add new Transformers lore that like there aren't just Transformers from Cybertron, they're also from another place. Yeah. I think that's a great idea, but it's just executed horribly. They make an effort to say in all movies, they make an effort in this movie to say that all movies nowadays are just sequels and remakes, and they're all terrible. And that's what I like to call, and this is a joke from the Weekly Planet podcast, also known as Mr. Sunday Movies. Check them out. I'm taking the joke because it's really funny and I like it. It's hanging a lantern on your terrible movie. Yep. I've also written here, Optimus Prime is the original car that I've been complaining about for the last 30 minutes. For 5 minutes, and they make every attempt to say how much of a piece of crap it is. There is no transforming in these movies anymore. They just don't show it. Optimus Prime says his famous catchphrase, "I'll kill you." And I've written here, Transformers are just children. Bumblebee is just a child and overreacts to everything in his path. However, at one point, he drives into a showroom that was made to personally insult him. The showroom showed a remake of himself, created by the company KSI, not the famous YouTuber boxer or the member of the Sidemen. And they're basically like, this model was based off a Transformer Bumblebee, but it's so much better than Bumblebee. Bumblebee's just really stupid. And yeah. I've also wrote, KSI is the name of the company for some reason. New Shia LaBeouf is weird. I didn't actually remember the name of the guy, but basically they introduced this guy who is the Mark Wahlberg's daughter's boyfriend. And I've written here, he's like Shia LaBeouf, but worse. He kills Black Ops guys with the car. New Shia LaBeouf is a loser and an idiot, and he's a professional driver and can't take off his seatbelt. And the movie makers make an effort to say that he's sponsored by Red Bull. He is also a coward. Yep. New villain Gunface, because I can't remember his name and I don't want to remember his name. I've also written here, Cade Yeager kills a guy with a football. Very American for some reason. I've also, it's Stanley Tucci. Yeah. Because it's autocorrected to Tuchich, has the best arc in all of these movies. And this is what I've written here. He starts off as a horrible Elon Musk type and realizes what he's doing and wants to fix himself. But I've also written here, it probably is the best arc because there is a side character whose whole role in this movie is just to point out how his redemptive arc's going. Like, she's in this movie just to be like, I don't think you're doing the right thing here. And then at the end, she's like, I'm proud of you, mate. You've done good now. You've revamped yourself. Good on you, mate. I've wrote right here, definitely the weirdest. I see why. Let's get really deep and personal here right now. There is one scene in this movie that I've thought about the most out of every single scene in all of cinema. It is the weirdest scene, the stupidest scene, and it's not. I don't think about the scene because it's groundbreaking in any way. I don't think of the scene because it's insane in any way. Well, it is insane. I just think of the scene because it's insanely weird. I'm gonna explain it to you. So, Mark Wahlberg's daughter in this movie is 17 years old. She's dating not Shia LaBeouf, or as I've written here, not Shia LaBeouf, who is 20 years old. And Mark Wahlberg and not Shia LaBeouf are debating on whether their relationship is legal or even ethical. And not Shia LaBeouf pulls out of his wallet a laminated piece of paper with the relevant statute of limitations, a statute of laws for the state of Texas, stating he can sleep with Mark Wahlberg's daughter. What is this in the movie? Why? I really hope that wasn't that loud. I moved the mic pretty far away. I basically screamed at the top of my lungs. Why is this in the movie? The movie's 2 hours and 44 minutes long. It's a bloated mess. Why is this in the movie? It's such an odd sequence. Like, it's such an odd thing to put in there. Like, it'd be odd in a sex ed class at school to be like, hey, what's the age of consent? It's a weird thing. I've also written here, Michael Bay probably brought on a producer for this movie and asked them, hey, would you like to bring in some product placement? Would you like to put in your favorite Transformer? Or would you like to bring in some product placement like Mark Wahlberg pulling out a Bud Light and drinking it with all the foaminess all around it? And the producer was probably like, no, what I actually want is there to be a conversation about underage sex in with the legal terminology of consent in America. Trivia alert: it's a fake law made for this movie, so don't get any ideas. I've written here Galvatron is weird. I've also written here Hugo Weaving said he hated these movies and didn't want to return, so they brought in Frank Welker, who was the original voice of Megatron. I've also written here, design is terrible. I've also written here, Megatron head is still intact somehow. So basically, the end of the last movie, Megatron got killed by Optimus Prime. His head got decapitated and smashed into bits, but his head is intact in this movie somehow. I wrote, KSI build Galvatron out of Megatron's head, and I'm confused why he still looks like Megatron. Really? You're confused. You're stupid. I've written here, terrible transforming effect, but beats pill for some reason. I've also written here, Dinobots are in this movie for 5 minutes. Yeah, they're in this movie for 5 minutes. The most interesting part of this movie, the reason why people came to see this movie is in the movie for 5 minutes. I've written here, Optimus Prime brings them on board by saying, join me or die. Yep. I've also written here, Kelsey Grammer is killed as casual as you like. And I've also written here, Optimus Prime can fly somehow. Why was this not in any of the other movies? Continuity. And he also says, whenever you look at the stars, think of them as my soul. Okay. Once he leaves the atmosphere, he freezes immediately. What an idiot. I didn't really explain the plot. I've written here, Space Seed. Don't know how it works. Don't want to know how it works. But the reason why this movie did very well, it made $1.4 billion, was the highest grossing movie in 2014, and it was all because of China. And there's a personal relationship I have with Transformers 5. I went to go see Transformers 5 in cinema with a few friends, and the movie, even though it's a Transformers movie and the majority of the movie is just explosions and fight scenes, it is still so boring. It's so boring to the fact that literally there was no one else in the cinema. My mates were running up and down the stairs just to get a workout in, doing push-ups at the bottom. We went down and lied down in front of the screen. It was horrible. It was horrible. Like, it was the most, like I've written here, it was the hardest one to get through. I am shattered. I've also written here, we'll get into this in a second, but it's honestly terrible. Let's get in this. I've written here, I believe that this movie wasn't actually meant to be a Transformers movie. It was meant to be a fantasy movie, and in the writer's room for the so Michael Bay created a writer's room. I'll pretty much just be looking at the notes rather than reading off of it. So Michael Bay created a writer's room, and they're famous for sitting down writing the story for these movies. And I have a theory in this where a writer was like, all right, they sat in there, and Michael Bay was like, okay, guys, come back to me on Friday with your finished Transformers 5 scripts. And this guy was sitting in the back going, oh, no, I haven't written anything. I don't know. And went into his, went home and was trying to type something, couldn't figure out what to type, and then just went into his folder and was like, had a file name called Passion Project. And he opened it up, and then he just threw in Transformers, and he was like, this car, it's also a Transformer. The submarine, it's a Transformer. The dragon, it's a Transformer. Like, they just threw it in there. And then I've written here, if you take, and the reason why I have this theory is because if you take out all the Transformers, it's still a story. It's a shorter story, and it just makes sense. Written here, Dragon is weird. He can make his own decisions, but will be taking orders from a staff. I've also written here, it was the biggest budget one out of them all. It was $270 million to make and only made $605 million, which is a box office failure. I've written here, why doesn't Optimus Prime transform at least once? I've also written here, Transformers kill Hitler, ... I've also written here, it was meant to be an original TV series of an Arthurian myth and World War II that they just jammed into this movie. Well, Mark Wahlberg doesn't need to be in this movie. Why do both characters have a destiny in this movie? I've also written here, Unicron is in this movie for some reason. This whole movie is the same as number 3. With the same world-ending threat, basically. I've written here, Cade Yeager and Vivian Wembley are a terrible match. Laura Haddock, who played Peter Quill's mum in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, has more chemistry with Kurt Russell, who is double her age and has a CGI face and character who intentionally put a tumor in her head, than Mark Wahlberg in this movie. I've also written here, what are you? An inventor. What have you invented? Things you've heard of. Like, terrible writing. I've also written here, Bumblebee can break apart and come together because of Iron Man 3. Oh, yeah. So I've written a list here of things they've clearly taken from other films. Now, you can borrow from other films, but this movie makes it so obvious and so blatant, and it just doesn't make any sense. So we have Bumblebee taking things from Iron Man 3. The Scavenger is clearly Rey from Star Wars with her own BB-8. They have an opening intro sequence introducing new Autobots, which is clearly the Suicide Squad. Good Guy is every movie at the time, like Batman vs. Superman and Captain America Civil War. I've also written here, opening sequence doesn't need to be there, which is the medieval fight sequence. Really doesn't need to be there. Megatron is in this. I don't know why. Lady Robot villain is the villain, I guess, but is only in it once every hour, like Optimus Prime. Optimus and Bumblebee only fought for the trailer, basically. And the fight ends with Bumblebee speaking and Optimus saying he hasn't heard his voice since Cybertron. First movie, mate. Go back to the first movie. He says, I wish to stay with my boy. And yeah. This movie, they just have no continuity anymore. I've written here, is this just 50 First Dates by Optimus Prime or the Winter Soldier? And his mind gets wiped every single day. And he comes back crazier in every film. The human character, I really don't like that the human characters don't get hit by any Transformers by pure happenstance. I've written here, Tad Hamilton. Thank God. Bumblebee's speech is really weird, and instead of using songs, he uses movie quotes. A quote that I've written here, which is insane, says, I'll burn you so bad you wish you died as a child. Now, I watched this movie, but I didn't realize this quote until I listened to the Weekly Planet, like I just plugged before, the Weekly Planet, and they pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh my goodness, like what? Why would you say that's so mean? That's terrible. I've written here, Submarine is a Transformer, I guess. So is Anthony Hopkins' Gunn. Okay. I've written here, Cogman is great. He's a C-3PO, but a psychopath. 100%. Cogman's the best part in this movie. He parks a decoy car in the middle of the street with the doors open. In London, might I add. You are not... That car's gone by the morning. That car's gone. But it's probably a Transformer. You never know. Everything in this movie is a Transformer. I have 3 more notes. Thank God. I've written here... They go to the underwater room and Mark Wahlberg gets angry for no reason. Because he can't find the Transformers artifact, which is a staff. I've written here... Aspect ratio changes in every single frame. Like it goes like this, to this, to this, to this. I might do it for the podcast. Probably not, because I don't want to put you through hell. And then I've written here, worst decision of my life. Yep, 100%. Alright, I'm going to leave this here. So thank you guys for watching the Movie Scoops podcast. I hope you enjoyed. And, yeah. Let me know if you want one of these. Yeah. See you next week.